Are you still fighting battles that ended years ago? Still carrying the weight of people who already walked away? Listen, your past isn't your prison. It was your teacher. The moment you stop rehearsing your pain, you start rewriting your power. This isn't the end of your story. It's the beginning of your rise. We'll explain everything in this video step by step. Don't skip it. There comes a moment in life when the weight of what's behind you feels heavier than the dream of what's ahead. You wake up and your heart feels chained to yesterday, regrets, mistakes, betrayals, heartbreaks. You keep replaying the same scenes in your mind, trying to understand what went wrong, trying to rewrite a story that's already over. But hear me, you can't build a new future while dragging the corpse of your past behind you. Every one of us has been through something that shook us to our core. Maybe it was a failure that shattered your confidence. Maybe it was a relationship that broke your spirit. Maybe it was a dream that died before it ever had a chance to live. Whatever it is, it doesn't define you. It refined you. You see, and life is not happening to you. It's happening for you. The pain, the loss, the disappointment, all of it is fuel. But only if you choose to see it that way. Most people let their past poison their present. They stay stuck in old emotions, anger, guilt, resentment, and then they wonder why their future feels the same as their past. You cannot rise if you keep rehearsing your fall. It's time to release it, not just in words, but in your soul. Let go of the what ifs, the should haves, and the why me's. Those thoughts are anchors, beautifully disguised chains that keep you bound to a moment that no longer exists. You can't change your past, but you can change your meaning of it. Maybe that pain wasn't there to destroy you. It was there to awaken you, to remind you that you're more than your wounds, more than your failures, more than the person you used to be. Think about a phoenix. It doesn't rise in spite of the ashes. It rises because of them. The ashes are proof that something had to burn for something greater to emerge. So if you've been burned by love, by life, by loss, understand this: your rebirth begins the moment you stop fighting your past and start learning from it. You are not the same person who was hurt. You are stronger, wiser, deeper, more aware. You've seen the darkness, and that means you now understand the value of light. Every scar tells a story, not a pain, but a power. You survived what was meant to break you. And that means there's nothing you can't rise from. But you've got to decide today. Decide to stop letting your past write your future. Decide that you're done being a prisoner of memory. Decide that your comeback will be greater than your setback. And it starts with forgiveness. Forgiving others, yes. But most importantly, forgiving yourself. Forgive yourself for not knowing what you didn't know. Forgive yourself for staying too long. Forgive yourself for breaking down. Forgive yourself for the time you wasted, because none of it was truly wasted. It was all preparing you for this moment. When you release the past, you make room for the future. You open your heart to possibility again. You begin to see life not as something that happened, but as something you can create. So take a breath right now. Inhale strength, exhale the weight of yesterday. Feel the freedom that comes when you finally let go, because this right now is your moment of rebirth. This is your time to rise again. And when you do, rise not as who you were, but as who you were meant to become. You cannot rise if you keep rehearsing your fall. The reason most people never truly move forward isn't because they lack talent, discipline, or opportunity. It's because they keep revisiting the very pain that once broke them, reliving it over and over as if rewriting the story could change its ending. But pain doesn't lose its power because you replay it. It gains more control over you each time you revisit it. Every time you recall the moment you fell, failed, or were betrayed, your mind and body react as if it's happening all over again. The past is no longer just a memory. It becomes a loop you live in. You can't build momentum toward your destiny while staring at the debris of your history. The truth is, your energy flows where your attention goes, and if your attention is constantly chained to your lowest moments, you will unconsciously recreate them in your present life. We live in a world where many people wear their wounds like identity badges. They talk about their heartbreak, their trauma, their loss, not because they want healing, but because the pain has become familiar. There's a strange comfort in pain you've known for years. It gives you a story to tell, a reason to stay where you are, a justification for why you don't have to try again. But comfort and growth can't coexist. Every time you tell yourself, I can't because of what happened, you're choosing to make the past your ceiling. You're anchoring your potential to your history instead of your possibility. The fall was supposed to teach you, not trap you. The mind is a powerful storyteller. When you fail once, it starts building evidence that you're incapable. When someone betrays you, it starts whispering that you'll never be loved the same again. When life takes something from you, it convinces you that everything good must eventually end in pain. That's how self-doubt begins. Not in the moment you fall, but in the countless moments afterward when you keep rehearsing that fall in your mind. You give your past life by feeding it your focus. You keep your pain alive by replaying it in high definition, and over time, your brain begins to wire that pain into your identity. You stop saying, I failed, and start saying, I'm a failure. You stop saying, I was hurt, and start believing, I'm broken. The human spirit is meant to rise, to evolve, to expand, but it can't soar while holding on to the weight of regret. The greatest prison isn't the one made of walls and bars. It's the one built by repeated memories of pain. You can't rise when every step forward triggers another replay of your downfall. The world has countless opportunities waiting for you, but none of them can enter a heart that's still preoccupied with yesterday. Rising requires release. You have to let go of the movie you keep watching inside your mind. You have to stop narrating the same story where you are always the one who lost, the one who failed, the one who got left behind. There's a law in life. Whatever you focus on expands. If you focus on your pain, you'll see more reasons to feel pain. If you focus on your possibilities, you'll see new paths opening. But to focus on the future, you must stop glorifying the fall. You must stop assigning meaning to your suffering that keeps you powerless. Pain is not proof of your weakness. It's evidence of your strength. It means you were willing to try. It means you cared enough to risk something. The fact that you fell only shows that you were brave enough to stand in the first place. Yet, the moment you start defining yourself by that fall, you strip the lesson of its value. You transform a moment of learning into a lifetime of limitation. Every successful person, every strong soul you've ever admired has fallen hard. They've failed in public, been rejected, betrayed, or doubted. But they understood something vital. The fall is inevitable, but staying down is a choice. What makes them different isn't that they never fell. It's that they didn't spend the rest of their life narrating that fall. They used it as data, not drama. They studied it, learned from it, and then moved on with deeper wisdom. They understood that the past can either be a wall or a foundation. If you use it right, your pain becomes power. If you use it wrong, your pain becomes paralysis. There's a point in your journey where you have to stop asking why it happened and start asking what it taught you. Because when you focus on why, you're still tied to the fall. But when you focus on what now, you start to rise. The mind loves repetition. It finds safety in familiar patterns, even destructive ones. So you have to consciously break the pattern of replay. Every time your mind tries to drag you back into the memory of how you fell, you must redirect it. Replace the memory with the vision of where you're going. Replace the pain with the purpose it created. Replace the regret with gratitude for the lesson. Healing isn't forgetting, it's remembering differently. It's being able to look at the same event that once broke you and see it as the moment that built you. It's realizing that the fall wasn't the end of your story. It was the beginning of your becoming. When you can view your past through that lens, it loses its ability to control you. The energy that once held you down becomes the fire that lifts you up. The challenge is, and most people wait to feel ready before they move on. They wait until the pain disappears, until the memory fades, until everything feels safe again. But healing doesn't come from waiting. It comes from deciding. deciding that you've had enough of reliving the same story, deciding that your life deserves more than the echoes of old mistakes, deciding that you're willing to rise even with the scars. The strength of your comeback isn't determined by how deep you fell. It's determined by how willing you are to get up again and again, even when it still hurts. You can't climb the mountain of your future while holding on to the rocks of your past. At some point, you have to unclench your grip and trust that the next chapter will not mirror the last. You have to stop speaking the language of your wounds and start speaking the language of your worth. Your thoughts are seeds, and your life is the garden. If you keep planting memories of pain, you'll keep harvesting suffering. But if you start planting thoughts of resilience, hope, and gratitude, you'll harvest growth, freedom, and peace. When you rehearse your fall, you train your nervous system to expect failure. But when you rehearse your rise, you condition your body and mind to expect victory. That's the shift that changes everything. The energy you once used to dwell can be the same energy you use to drive. You just have to redirect it. The same mind that created your pain can create your power once you choose to focus it differently. Life isn't asking you to be perfect. It's asking you to keep getting up, to stop letting your past dictate your direction, to stop identifying with the fall and start identifying with the one who got back up. Because no matter how many times you fell, no matter how deep the wound, no matter how dark the chapter, as long as you're still breathing, your story isn't over. Your past was a lesson, not a life sentence. The problem is too many people confuse experience with identity. They think because they went through pain, they are the pain. Because they failed, they are a failure. Because someone left them, they are unworthy of love. But the truth is, your past was only meant to teach you, to guide you, to reveal parts of yourself you couldn't see while everything was comfortable. The past was never meant to imprison you. It was meant to inform you. Every experience, good or bad, carried a message, a clue about who you are and who you could become. But when you hold on to the pain longer than the lesson, you turn the classroom into a cage. You start replaying the moment instead of rewriting your meaning. You start defining your entire life by a single chapter that was only meant to teach you something. The moment you start to see your past as a lesson, everything changes. You stop being a victim of your story and become the author of it. You begin to look at the things that once broke you and see them as blessings in disguise. The rejection that shattered your confidence might have been the redirection that saved your destiny. The loss that felt unbearable might have been in the clearing that made space for what's truly meant for you. But you can only see that when you stop resenting what happened and start asking, what did it come to teach me? Pain doesn't show up to punish you. It shows up to prepare you. It stretches your capacity to feel, to understand, to grow. It builds a depth you that comfort never could. Every time life knocked you down, it was shaping something in you that success never could. Failure teaches humility. Heartbreak teaches empathy. Betrayal teaches discernment. Loss teaches gratitude. Each lesson has a purpose, and every one of them refines your character in a way nothing else can. But if you keep seeing your past as a curse, you'll keep missing the wisdom it carries. You'll keep repeating cycles because you refuse to extract the meaning. Life will keep giving you the same test until you learn the lesson. That's not punishment. It's compassion. It's life's way of saying, you haven't yet seen who you can become. You are not supposed to stay stuck in the identity the past gave you. You are supposed to evolve from it. But most people stay locked in the same emotional state they were in when their pain first happened. Something went wrong years ago, and they froze there. They stopped trusting. They stopped trying. They stopped believing. They built a wall and called it safety, not realizing it was also a prison. You can't step into your next chapter while guarding the pages of your last one. At some point, you have to look at what happened, take the lesson, and walk away from the story that no longer serves you. Think about how nature works. A snake sheds its skin to grow. If it tried to hold onto the old skin, it would suffocate. Growth requires release. You cannot keep wearing the identity of who you were when the pain happened and expect to experience the freedom of who you're meant to be. The past can be your greatest teacher, but only if you let it graduate you, not define you. The purpose of pain is transformation, not torment. It's there to open your eyes, to deepen your wisdom, to teach you compassion, to strengthen your resilience. Every event in your life, every heartbreak, every failure, every disappointment was like a mirror showing you something about yourself. The moments that hurt the most often show you the parts of yourself you ignored. The moments that embarrassed you often reveal where you attached your worth to the wrong things. The moments that broke you open often reveal how deeply you can love, how strong your heart really is. But when you see your past only through the lens of shame or regret, you miss the gold buried underneath the rubble. You have to dig into your own story, not to relive it, but to recover the treasures it left behind. People spend years trying to erase their past, pretending it never happened. But the goal isn't to erase it, it's to embrace it differently. Your scars don't make you less, they make you real. They tell the world that you've lived, that you've felt, that you fought battles and made it through. Your story is what gives your voice power. The pain you've overcome becomes the authority you speak from. You don't need to hide from your past. You need to honor it for what it gave you. Because without it, you wouldn't have the strength, empathy, or awareness you carry now. The most beautiful souls are rarely the ones who've had it easy. They're the ones who've walked through fire and refused to let the flames destroy their faith. They're the ones who've turned wounds into wisdom, heartbreak into healing, and pain into purpose. They didn't escape their past. They elevated from it. And that's what you're being called to do, to stop using your past as proof of your limitations and start using it as evidence of your resilience. Every time you think, I can't because of what happened, you're giving your past permission to control your present. But when you say, I can because I survived that, you reclaim your power. You have to understand that your past was a process of preparation. Every challenge built the muscle you're going to need for the next level of your life. You can't rise to greatness with untested strength. You can't lead with untested faith. The pain you endured wasn't random. It was refining you for something more. Life never wastes a wound. Every tear you shed watered the ground for your future growth. Every setback you faced carved out the space for your comeback. Every ending you mourned made room for a new beginning you couldn't yet see. When you stop treating your past like a punishment, you open yourself to gratitude for the lessons, for the growth, for the wisdom. Gratitude doesn't mean you loved what happened. It means you've decided it no longer owns you. It means you can look at what broke you and still bless it for what it built in you. That's when true freedom begins, not when you forget the past, but when you no longer fear it. The moment you can look back and see purpose in the pain, you are free. Your story is not your sentence, it's your syllabus. It's the curriculum that prepared you for what's next. And if you're still here, still breathing, still searching for meaning, then your lessons aren't done teaching you. There's more to learn, more to become, more to rise into. But first, and you have to release the idea that the past defines what you're capable of. It doesn't. It only defines what you've learned. You are not bound by who you were. You are guided by who you are becoming. And the lessons you've learned are not weights. They are wings. Forgiveness is the bridge between who you were and who you're becoming. It's the act of releasing the emotional chains that bind you to a moment that no longer exists. Forgiveness is not about letting someone else off the hook. It's about setting yourself free. It's about no longer allowing the pain others caused or the pain you caused yourself to dictate your destiny. Too many people carry resentment like armor, believing it protects them from being hurt again, but all it really does is keep the wound open. You can't heal while you're still defending your pain. You can't rise while you're still anchored to anger. Forgiveness isn't weakness. It's strength in its purest form because it takes courage to let go of what your ego wants to hold on to. The mind says, They don't deserve it. The heart whispers, but you do. When you hold on to resentment, you're the one drinking the poison, hoping someone else feels it. Anger eats away at your peace from the inside out. It clouds your judgment, drains your energy, and hardens your heart. You may think you're protecting yourself, but what you're really doing is replaying the pain every time you remember it. Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting what happened. It means remembering it differently. It means taking the lesson and leaving the bitterness behind. It means recognizing that what they did was about them, not about your worth. Every person who hurt you acted from their own wounds, their own fear, their own confusion. Understanding that doesn't excuse their behavior. It explains it. And that understanding is what breaks the chain. Forgiving others is hard, but forgiving yourself is even harder. You judge yourself for what you didn't know and for the mistakes you made, for the time you wasted, for the people you trusted. You replay your own decisions like a movie, wishing you could rewrite scenes, change choices, take backwards. But guilt is a heavy chain that keeps you tied to who you used to be. You can't become the person you're meant to be if you're still punishing the person you were. The version of you that made those mistakes didn't know what you know now. They were doing the best they could with the awareness and strength they had at the time. Forgiveness is not approval. It's acceptance. It's saying, I can't change what happened, but I can choose what it means now. The truth is, healing begins the moment you stop resisting the past. Every time you replay what someone did, you reopen the wound. Every time you blame yourself, you reinforce your own prison. But when you forgive, you shift your energy from resistance to release. That's when you start to move forward. Forgiveness clears emotional space for new blessings to enter. Without it, there's no room for love, joy, or growth because resentment takes up all the space inside you. You can't pour light into a heart filled with bitterness. That's why forgiveness isn't optional, it's essential. Forgiveness is not a one-time act. It's a process. Sometimes you forgive and feel peace for a while, and then the memory resurfaces and the pain returns. That's normal. Forgiveness happens layer by layer. Every time you choose peace over anger, understanding over blame, compassion over bitterness, you're strengthening the bridge between who you were and who you're becoming. The journey from pain to peace is built one decision at a time. There's a deep truth about life. No one escapes pain. Everyone has been hurt, betrayed, misunderstood, or abandoned in some way. But what separates the free from the stuck is not what happened to them. It's how they choose to respond to it. When you hold on to your story of pain, you become its prisoner. When you forgive, you become its author. You turn the wound into wisdom, the suffering into strength. You start to use your story instead of letting your story use you. That's the bridge forgiveness builds. It takes you from victimhood to victory. People often say, I can't forgive them, they don't deserve it. But forgiveness isn't a gift for them, it's a gift for you. It's the moment you decide you're no longer willing to give your past power over your peace. It's not about denying what happened, it's about denying it the right to control you any longer. Forgiveness is the ultimate act of self-respect. It's saying, I deserve peace more than I deserve to be right. The energy you spend holding grudges is energy you could use to build your future. You can't carry both resentment and growth. One will always outweigh the other. And let's talk about self-forgiveness. The most dangerous kind of resentment is the one you hold against yourself. The silent blame that whispers, you should have known better, or you're the reason it failed. Those thoughts create a constant internal war. You can't find peace externally while you're still at war internally. Self-forgiveness doesn't mean denying responsibility. It means releasing shame. Guilt says, I did something bad. Shame says, I am bad. One is a feeling, the other is an identity. Forgiveness frees you from that false identity. It allows you to look at your reflection and say, I made mistakes, but I'm not my mistakes. I've learned, I've grown, I've evolved. Forgiveness is also the foundation of freedom in relationships. Without it, love cannot survive. When you carry old hurts into new connections, You poison them before they even begin. You project old pain onto new people, expecting them to fix wounds they didn't cause. That's why so many relationships fail, not because love isn't real, but because forgiveness never happened. You can't build a healthy connection while dragging the weight of unhealed memories. Forgiveness cleans the slate. It lets you love without fear, trust without comparison, give without holding back. Sometimes the hardest person to forgive is life itself. You look back and think, why did that have to happen to me? Why did I lose that person? Why did that door close? But maybe life wasn't being cruel. Maybe it was being kind in disguise. Maybe it was removing what wasn't meant for your growth. Maybe it was redirecting you to a path that would awaken your strength. Forgiveness of life is the deepest surrender. It's when you stop fighting what was and start flowing with what is. It's when you understand that everything, every pain, every loss, every delay was part of your evolution. Forgiveness isn't about erasing history, and it's about rewriting the meaning you give it. The same memory that once made you cry can one day make you smile because you'll realize it made you stronger. The same betrayal that broke you can become the reason you finally discovered your worth. The same disappointment that crushed your hope can become the moment that built your faith. Forgiveness turns your pain into perspective. It transforms your scars into symbols of survival. The bridge of forgiveness connects your past self, the one who was hurt, the one who fell, the one who didn't know better, to your future self, the one who has learned, healed, and grown. It's a bridge built with compassion, humility, and strength. And each time you choose to forgive, you take another step across it. You move closer to peace, closer to freedom, and closer to the version of you that no longer defines themselves by pain, but by power. Because forgiveness doesn't change the past. It transforms your relationship with it. Every ending carries the seed of a greater beginning. Life has a rhythm, a flow, a pulse that constantly moves us through cycles of birth, growth, death, and rebirth. Yet most people resist that rhythm. They cling to what's familiar, even when it's no longer serving them. They hold on to relationships that have expired, jobs that drain their soul, and identities that no longer fit. They see endings as punishment rather than preparation. But every ending, no matter how painful or unexpected, carries within it the silent promise of a new beginning waiting to emerge. The problem is, we're so focused on what's closing that we fail to see what's opening. And endings hurt because they challenge our sense of control. They remind us that life is constantly changing and that certainty is an illusion. We get attached to people, situations, and versions of ourselves, and when they fade, we feel like we've lost a part of who we are. But endings are not loss. They are transformation in disguise. The old must die for the new to be born. The seed must crack open before it becomes a tree. The caterpillar must dissolve before it becomes a butterfly. Growth is always disguised as loss. When something ends, it's not life rejecting you. It's life redirecting you. Sometimes the ending isn't something we choose. It's forced upon us. Someone leaves, a door closes, a dream collapses. In that moment, it feels like everything has been taken away. But what if it's not being taken? It's being cleared. What if the very thing that ended was never meant to carry you into your next season? Life doesn't subtract without the intention to multiply later. What's removed creates space for what's meant to arrive. But to see that, you have to shift from fear to faith. You have to trust that there's wisdom behind the chaos, purpose behind the pain, design behind the disruption. Every new chapter begins with a blank page. But you can't start writing it if you're still rereading the last one. The longer you cling to what's over, the longer you delay what's next. Letting go isn't weakness, it's wisdom. It's recognizing that not everything or everyone is meant to go with you. Some people were chapters, not your whole story. Some experiences were lessons, not lifelong destinations. When you try to drag old chapters into new seasons, you suffocate growth. The ending is not the enemy, it's the invitation. It's the moment life whispers, there's more for you than this. Every storm eventually passes. Every night gives birth to dawn, and every ending, no matter how final it feels, and carries the potential of rebirth. But the rebirth can't happen if you keep mourning what's meant to be released. You can't receive the future while your hands are full of the past. There's beauty in the breaking, because breaking means you're being remolded. Every shattered dream, every broken plan, every heartbreak creates space for something truer to enter. You're not being destroyed, you're being rebuilt. You're not losing yourself, you're shedding the version that can't go where you're going next. Think about how nature moves through seasons. Winter looks like death, but it's just rest. The trees aren't dying, they're conserving energy for spring. The same is true for your life. When something ends, it's often a winter season, a pause before renewal. You may not see growth above the surface, but something powerful is happening underneath. You're healing, learning, and preparing. The soil of your soul is being enriched for new growth. You can't rush that process. You have to allow yourself to feel the ending, to grieve it if you must, but not to live in it forever. Because when you cling to what's gone, you block what's coming. Endings often come disguised as heartbreak, rejection, or failure. But behind every painful exit lies hidden direction. The job you lost might have been the push that led you to your purpose. The relationship that ended might have been the mirror that showed you what you truly deserve. The dream that fell apart might have been the lesson that built the mindset needed for the dream that's truly yours. Life doesn't take without giving back. It just doesn't always give back in the same form. Sometimes what you prayed for doesn't come back as what you imagined, but it comes back as what you actually needed. The key is to stop resisting the cycle. Resistance keeps you in pain. Acceptance sets you free. Acceptance doesn't mean you like the ending. It means you stop fighting it. It means you start asking, what is this ending trying to make room for? It's realizing that the chapter might be over, but the story continues. The universe is always evolving, and so are you. Every ending pushes you closer to alignment with your higher path, even when it doesn't feel like it. Some of the most powerful transformations in life come right after you thought it was over. When you hit rock bottom, you realize that rock bottom isn't the end. It's the foundation you rebuild on. The fire that burned down what you built wasn't there to destroy you. It was there to purify you. It burned away what wasn't authentic, what wasn't strong enough, what wasn't meant to last. When the ashes settle, what remains is the truth. And from that truth, something extraordinary can grow. You begin again, but this time from wisdom, not from illusion. Endings also teach you detachment. They teach you that your peace cannot depend on people, outcomes, or circumstances. When you learn to let go gracefully, you step into emotional freedom. You stop chasing what's leaving and start trusting what's coming. You stop asking, why did it end? And start asking, what is it preparing me for? Detachment doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop clinging. It means you allow life to move through you without resistance, trusting that what's meant for you can't be lost, and what's lost was never truly yours. Every ending refines you. It strips away illusions, ego, and dependency. It reminds you that you are the constant amidst all the changes. You are the thread that continues, even when the fabric of your life gets rewoven. When you stop fearing endings, you become unstoppable. You understand that each ending is an invitation to evolve into a higher version of yourself. And the pain of endings transforms into the power of renewal. You realize that the door that closed was just leading you toward the one that was always meant to open. The universe has a rhythm of release and renewal. When something ends, it's not chaos, it's choreography. Life knows what it's doing even when you don't. You might not see it now, but every ending is life's way of clearing your path, redirecting your energy, and realigning your purpose. The death of one version of your life is the birth of another. Every goodbye carries within it the quiet promise of a hello yet to come. And when you finally stop seeing endings as losses and start seeing them as transitions, you'll begin to notice that every time something leaves your life, something greater begins to enter. Thank you for listening, and don't forget to like and subscribe.